With his hand pressed to the ground, Mercury can feel the unnatural movements of the alien invaders. Days passed. One of the black teeth that pierced the sky came alive with anger. It shook itself apart as the ground trembled. Ever since then, alien trespassers have been moving through the Ash Stalker territory unaware. Here, at a high traffic choke point, is where Mercury and the Ash Stalkers will exact a toll in blood and plasteel, sending a message to all travelers: you are not welcome here. Welcome to Season 1, Episode 2 of Depths of Rothgol. Our next match is between the Ash Waste Nomads Ash Stalkers and the Gene Stealer cult Gemini Collective. Pictured is our current scoreboard as we go into Episode 2. The Alcalde Brotherhood took the first win in our opening match. The Gemini Collective is led by Cult Adept Morticia. She carries a shock stave, she has a psychic familiar, her skill is evade, and her weird power is force field. Zaid is a hybrid acolyte, he carries a heavy stubber, he has a psychic familiar, and his skill is nerves of steel. Bogor is an aberrant with a power hammer. Orivore is an aberrant with a power pick. Coda is a specialist neophyte with a grenade launcher. Pascal and Padrig are both neophytes with auto guns, and Rodolfo is a neophyte with a shotgun. Gang Randy of 995. The Ash Stalkers are led by Mercury. He carries a chain lance. He has the skill Stormwalker. Balthazar is a Naktari Watcher. He carries a Venom Caster and has the skill Hip Shooting. Hadrain is a specialist with a long rifle. Osias is a warrior with a long rifle. Anya is a dust runner with a blast carbine. Kalani is a dust runner with a blast carbine. Maya is a dust runner with a blast pistol. And Fane is an Aranthromite Dune Scuttler with manned blades. Total gang rating 995. The objective will be survival of the meanest. If the defender has at least one fighter on the battlefield at the end of turn 9, they are the winner. Otherwise, the attacker wins. Deployment will be home turf with sneak attack and reserves. The Hive World pair will be Hive Critters. At the start of the battle, we take turns placing D3 plus 1 Hive Critters on the battlefield. They move in the end phase and can cause an attack if they end their movement within an inch of a fighter. Ash Stalkers receive the Tactics card Battle Madness. Gemini Collective receive Thundering Charge. Gemini Collective roll random 5 starting crew, receiving Zaid, Bogor, Oravor, Padraig, and Rodolfo. Ash Stalkers roll 2 critters, being represented by these infected type people. Gemini Collective rolls up for 3 infected. The 5 Hive critters are deployed. Note, I will be referring to them as infected hosts moving forward for narrative sake. The gangs deploy in alternating fashion, beginning with the defender, the Gemini Collective. Deployment is now complete. The Ash Stalkers have their long-range units positioned in the back and elevated, with a clump of close-range fighters prepared for direct assault. The Gemini Collective is mostly just trying to keep their heads down and deal with the sentry phase. The Dune Scuttler Fane activates and advances, tucks in against a pipeline, attempting to set up an ambush. Padraig passes leadership check, moves to spot Fane. He immediately spots the Dune Scuttler on the roll of a 5. Padraig's free shoot action is a miss on the roll of a 1. With that, the alarm has been raised. We go right to turn 1 end phase. There's no recovery, rally, or reinforcements. The infected hosts all move random 2d6 around the hellish landscape. One infected host catches Padraig's scent, lashes out at him, wounds on a 6. Padraig's hazard suit saves on the roll of a 6, but he fails his initiative test and he plummets to the surface. It's a 5-inch fall, it fails to wound on a 3, and Padraig goes unpinned. Alerted by Padraig screams as he crashes to the earth. Zaid activates. He slightly pivots. He uses his first action to aim. His second action is to fire his heavy stubber at Osias. Zaid is a +1 for aim, -1 for cover, needing a 3 to hit. He hits twice on a 6, wounds once on a 3+. Osiris goes down with a serious injury. Hadrian passes his nerve check and doesn't break. Fane activates with an alien shriek. The creature scuttles over the industrial piping and charges Bogor. He easily makes it in with a roll of a 2 on a D3. Fane has 4 attack dice, +1 for the charge, -1 weapon skill, so he hits on 4s. 2 attacks hit, strength 5 versus toughness 4, wounds on 3s, both wound. Bogor has no armor save, and he has 2 runes, so the result is a wound taken +3 injury dice rolled. The injury dice rolled include a serious injury dice. Fane performs a coup de grace on Bogor. Bulgor's lasting injury is unfortunately a spinal injury, reducing his strength by 1 and sending him into recovery. Zaid watches Bulgor being cut to ribbons. He takes a nerve check and fails, becoming broken, fleeing the maximum distance of 12 inches. Orvor activates. He howls with rage as he watches his sibling being cut down. He pivots and charges. Having to climb up the piping, and with the roll of a 2 on a d3, it just allows him to make it into charge range. Orvor has 2 attacks plus 1 for the charge. He hits on 3s. He connects with 2 of them. Strength 6 versus toughness 5. He needs 3s to wound, and he wounds twice. Fane has heavy carapace armor, but since he's being attacked from the back, the negative 3 AP on the power pick negates any save roll, so Fane ends up taking 2 wounds, reducing him to 1. Fane turns to face to launch reaction attacks. He rolls 4 attacks, hitting on 4s with a -1 for turning to face. He hits twice, he manages to wound once, there is no save, and that's 2 damage. Orvor takes 1 wound, the injury dice is rolled out, and it's a flesh wound. These 2 titans stay locked in combat. Ash Stalker's activation. Forfeiting a fighter activation, the Ash Stalkers play the Gang Tactics card Battle Madness on Zaid. Zaid targets the closest model, which happens to be his familiar. He hits on a 3+, the shots hit, ammo checks required, passes on a 6, strength 4 versus toughness 2, 2+ to wound, both dice wound. The familiar has a 4+ invulnerable save, it fails both. 2 injury dice come out, the result is 2 serious injuries, which is translated into a serious injury and a flesh wound. The familiar goes down, it passes its initiative test and doesn't fall. Gemini Collective activation. Desperate to take the Dune Scuttler out of the fight, Rodolfo activates. He moves into close range, takes a calculated risk and loads Scatter Shot. 2+ to hit at close range, so 2's to hit. The shots hits on a 3, ammo check was required and passed on a 4. Scattershot produces 6 hits. Strength 2 versus toughness 5. Wounding on 6s, there's 1 wound. Fane takes his hardened carapace armor save outside of the 90-degree front arc, so needing a 4+, and Fane fails on a 2. 1 injury dice comes out, and Fane goes down with a serious injury. Watcher Balthazar activates. With his skill hip shooting, he moves, positions his Venom caster to shoot. The template engulfs Orvor and Padrig. Padrig is wounded on a 3, AP -1 ignores his hazard suit, injury dice is rolled, Padrig is down with a serious injury. On to Orvor. On a roll of a 4, which wounds, there's no save to be made, the injury dice comes out and Orvor takes his second flesh wound and goes down pinned. Orvor passes his cool check on a 5. Padrig is the final activation for the Gemini Collective. He's essentially trapped and he just passes on his activation. Hadrian, the warrior specialist, activates. He uses his first action to aim his sniper rifle. His second action is to fire. It's a -1 for cover, a +1 for the aim. He needs a 4+. He misses with a roll of a 1. Mercury activates and charges the seriously injured Padrig. With the Stormwalker skill and his 2-inch versatile chain lance, Mercury has an impressive maximum charge range of 13 inches. He rolls a 3 on his d3, easily making the charge. He stops 2 inches away to make versatile attacks. Mercury rolls 3 attack dice, hitting on 3s. He hits twice. Strength 5 versus toughness 3. He needs 3s to wound. 1 attack wounds. The AP -1 cuts through Padrig's hazard suit. 2 injury dice come out. The result is out of action. Padrig rolls on the last ring injury table and receives a head injury and goes into recovery. The Dust Runner Anya activates, pivots slightly, uses her first action to aim, second action to fire at Orvor. She's a -1 to hit because Orvor is pinned and at long range. She needs 5s to hit and the shot misses. Final 3 Ash Stalker activations of the turn. Osiris passes on his, looking to get an assist in the end phase. The Dust Runner Kalani activates and moves, looking for targets. And the Dust Runner Maya activates, also moves, trying to get in position for close range engagements. Turn 2 end phase. For bottle checks, the Gemini Collective pass theirs, and the Ash Stalkers cannot bottle. In recovery, Osiris goes out of action even with the assist. His lasting injury roll is out cold. With Zaid broken, he can't assist his familiar. His familiar ends up going out of action as well. Lasting injury result is convalescence. Zaid then rallies, gains an experience point. Gemini Collective received the remaining 3 reinforcements. Haskell is deployed by the opposing gang, stuffed away in the farthest corner. Coda and his grenade launcher are deployed by the Gemini Collective on the flank, looking for an opportunity to strike at Mercury, and Morticia herself arrives last. She's deployed by the Gemini Collective in an aggressive flank, looking to pressure the long rifle specialist. The infected hosts all move random 2d6 around the hellish landscape. Most of the fighters manage to avoid being attacked, although the Dust Runner Maya is effectively cut off from advancing thanks to one of the effective host's position. Orvor is even more unlucky, as one of the creatures catches the scent of his wounds and hurls itself at the Aberrant. Strength 3 versus the reduced toughness 2, the attack wounds on a 4. Orvor has no save, injury dice comes out, and he goes down seriously injured. Turn 3, roll for priority, goes to the Gemini Collective. Morticia and her familiar activate. The familiar moves up the ladder and gets into position to support its master. Morticia herself activates and plays Thunderous Charge, allowing her 2 movements instead of a movement plus D3 for the charge. She charges into the back of Hadrain, staying in versatile range. 2 attacks plus 1 for the charge, hitting on 4s, 6s will shock. 1 attack hits and it fails to wound. Ash Stalkers activate Balthazar. He moves into a firing position and unleashes the Venom Caster on Orvor and Rodolfo. Orvor is down to toughness 2, needing a 2+ wound to easily wounds with a 5. No save available, injury dice is rolled. It's a serious injury which translates into another flesh wound. Roll to wound Rodolfo succeeds on a 3. Cover modified armor save of 5+ fails. Injury dice is rolled. Rodolfo goes down with a serious injury. Orvor, down himself, watching Rodolfo go down, takes a nerve check and passes. Gemini Collective activates Zaid. Feeling the threat of that Venom Caster, he targets Balthazar, even though Balthazar has already activated this turn. He's perceived that much of a threat. His first activation is to aim, needing a 2+ hit. He easily hits with a 4. With a roll of a 5, the Strength 4 versus Toughness 3, it's 3's to wound. All 4 wound, Balthazar takes a wound, 3 injury dice come out, and he goes down seriously injured and takes 2 flesh wounds, effectively taking him out of the fight. Ash Stalkers activate Mercury. He charges the seriously injured mass that is Orvor and performs a coup de grace. Lasting injury is convalescence. Nearby, Rodolfo holds his nerve. Coda activates. He's got Mercury in the open. His first action is to take aim. His second action is to fire a crack grenade, needing a 3+ hit with the aim action. His shot hits on a 6. Ammo check required and failed. Gun is now empty. Strength 6 versus Toughness 3, needing a 2 to wound. He wounds on a 3. Mercury takes a wound. An injury dice is rolled. It's a flesh wound. Mercury goes down pinned. With the center of board in absolute chaos, the Ash Stalkers activate Hadrain. He actually cannot technically see Morticia as she is out of his 90-degree vision arc, so he doesn't have to take a cool check for target priority, so he decides to target Zaid across the board. His first action is to aim, and then he fires. +1 for aiming, needing a 3 to hit. He misses on a 1. Gemini Collective activate Haskell. He uses both actions to move, attempting to participate in the dying embers of the conflict. Kalani activates for the Ash Stalkers. First action is to aim, second action is to fire his blast carbine at Zaid. It's 2+ for short range, +1 for aiming, so now he needs a 2 or higher to hit. 3 hits land on a roll of a 4. 2 of the 3 hits wound. Zaid is left with only his hazard suit after gunning down his own familiar in a psychotic rage earlier in the match. He rolls 2 armor saves, needing 6s, and fails both. 2 injury dice are rolled out. Zaid goes down with a serious injury. He also takes a flesh wound. He fails his initiative check and he falls off the platform, a broken clump. Rodolfo is pinned down and passes on his activation. The remaining activations belong to the Ash Stalkers. Fane activates and crawls toward the nearest standing friendly fighter looking for an assist in the end phase. Anya activates, pivots slightly. First action is to aim, second action is to fire at Morticia. +1 for aiming, +2 for close range, -1 for cover. She needs a 3+ to hit the shot. It hits on a 6, causing shock and automatically wounding. Morticia fails her Omen of Fortune willpower check with a roll of Snake Eyes. Morticia has no armor, she takes the wound and goes down pinned, and she passes her initiative check and doesn't fall. Last activation of turn 3 goes to Maya, and she moves down the ladder, avoiding the infective host, looking to assist Mercury. Turn 3 end phase. Both gangs pass their bottle checks. In recovery, Balthazar stays down seriously injured but takes no flesh wounds due to assistance. Rodolfo recovers from a serious injury, taking a flesh wound. Fane recovers from his serious injury, taking a flesh wound, and flops over to pinned. Zaid stays down seriously injured and takes an additional flesh wound. Neither gang has rally tests to perform or reinforcements in waiting. The infected hosts all move a random 2d6 around the hellish landscape. All fighters luckily escape attracting any of their attention. At this point, the Gemini Collective voluntarily flee the battlefield. Zaid, the only prone and seriously injured fighter for the Gemini Collective, rolls a 1 and takes a lasting injury of getting humiliated. Balthazar rolls a 1, also receiving a lasting injury of Old Battle Wound. For rewards, the Ash Stalkers receive 60 credits for driving the invaders from their territory and 2 reputation. Gemini Collective receive 40 credits. Neither team visits the trading post, looking to establish some funds for critical injury situations late in later games. Beast of the match goes to Fane. His devastating close combat prowess really softened up the Gemini Collective defenses, allowing for the champions easy room to do damage. Mercury slicks the infected gore from the edge of his chain glaive. The last of the infected horde seems to have dispersed. He wonders if they are the cause of, or an effect of the disastrous hivequake. Moments later, Dustrun Amaya approaches and throws herself to her knees, arms outstretched, with a data module. Their strongest had this closely guarded on his person. "Good," said Mercury with a nod. "We will uncover the secrets they seek, and we will make rewards of them and their information." Off in the distance, the Gemini Collective's motor convoys slinked away against the blighted sunset, completely unaware of the tracking device so expertly concealed on their large hauler. Thank you so much for watching episode 2 of Depths of Rothgol. Feel free to leave a comment about what you liked or didn't like or anything that I got wrong. Other than that, please feel free to like and subscribe, and there will be more. Thanks. See you guys.